Hello everybody, my name is Reza Dorani and today we are going to look at a scenario with Power Automate using a new trigger that is currently in preview. It's the location trigger. So what is the location trigger? How does it work? How do I create a Power Automate flow using a location trigger? So in order for you to do that, if I go to my flows and if I go to new, I have multiple options here, multiple ways in which I can create a Microsoft flow. I'm going to pick an instant flow for now, and I'm going to directly hit skip. That will take me to the flow editor wherein I can go ahead and pick my trigger. The reason why I've done this is because this trigger is currently in preview and none of the options initially will actually show you this trigger. So you have to come here and then just search for a trigger which is called location. And as you can see, this trigger is in preview that says when I enter or exit an area. Now, how does this work? Here, you need to create your region, which is your specific location that when you enter or exit, the Microsoft Flow will trigger. As you can see, you can pick a region. It's a particular radius defined, and then you can zoom in. You can define your radius by zooming in and zooming out. So I can create a zone as high as the entire Houston space or the entire Texas space or the uh, entire country if I want to. So you can create your specific regions right here. You can even go to coordinates and define the exact latitude, longitude, and then define the radius of the region for which you want the flow to trigger. Please note you cannot create multiple regions currently, one region per trigger. So you have to only define one. So you just define your region, you hit save, and then what's going to happen next is just want to show you the properties that are available as part of when I enter or exit an area trigger. The options that you have are is the response, the latitude, longitude of the center point, and your current latitude and longitude will give you your exact location in that region, and finally the radius, which is the radius of the region that you have defined. So these are the dynamic properties that are available as part of the location trigger. Now let me show you one scenario in which I'm actually using this. I use this for my workouts. I've got a flow called workout friend, and this flow is actually using the location trigger, as you can see. And I have defined a location here. When I was in California, I was working out in a particular fitness center, and that's why I defined my location around that fitness center. So whenever I enter this area, trigger the flow. When I exit this area, also this flow will trigger because that's how the trigger is defined. Now, the first step I've done is I've added a compose action to just print the body output dynamic content from the trigger to show you what data is retrieved from it. And next step, because I'm trying to track my workouts, I'm using a data source. In this case, I'm using my favorite data source, which is SharePoint. It's a very simple SharePoint list. This can be anything. It can be Excel, SQL, uh, CDS, whatever your preferred data source of choices. In this case, it's a very simple list. It has title, created date, which is the inbuilt column in SharePoint. I have a start date, an end date, which also includes the time, and I have the workout that I have performed. Okay, all of this is a single line text field, date time field, inbuilt field, and this is a single line of text field, which is the title column. So very, very simple list. And what happens is every time I enter the region that I have defined, which is where my fitness center is, the flow triggers. Okay, the flow kicks off, and the first thing I do is I query my workouts list and get the last workout that I had performed. Okay, so it queries the workout list and gets the last workout that I had performed. The next step, what it does is it's using something called as another property called as transition type. You see, it's a dynamic property called transition type. Now, if I click and compose, if you note, there is no transition type property here, right? But how did I get this property and what is this property about? So transition type returns two values, a 1 or a 2. 1 signifies I have actually entered the region, and 2 signifies that I am leaving the region or I have exited the area. This property unfortunately is not yet available as part of dynamic properties, but if you want to get to it, your friend is going to be expressions. And if you look at this condition, uh, I have an expression that I've written here, which is trigger body brackets question mark transition type, and I'll show you how I got to this point as well. But this is the property that I'm using from the trigger condition, which tells me whether I've entered or exited the area. So if it is one, that means I have entered the area. What I'm doing right here is I have queried the last workout that I have done. So basically I'm saying go to the workouts list and get me the latest item that was created, which is the last workout. And what it is going to do is it's going to send me a notification in Flow, and that's why I have the mobile device ready here. I've actually screen mirrored my mobile device here, so we see the notification that I'll receive. And the notification says, "Hey Reza, have a great workout today," because it knows I have come to the region to do a workout, because that's why I've mapped that region. And it also gives me details on my last workout. So it says last you worked out on, the name of the workout, and this is the workout column right here, at this date and this time. This is using the created date time column, and I'm just formatting it so it represents it in a nice format. And also I'm doing some calculations here to figure out how many minutes I had last worked out, and I have those properties here in the start date and the end date field, so I can calculate the difference in minutes. So I basically get a notification on my mobile device that, hey, have a great workout, this is the last workout that you did. Next step, what it will also do is it will go ahead and create a new workout entry, because I've come to the fitness center, I've reached in the region, I've entered the region. So it just goes ahead and creates a new item in the SharePoint list. It just puts the current date and time in there and gives a simple title, which is the current date and time. That's all this does. Now, when I leave the region, what it will do in that case, because the transition type in that case will be 2, it will go into the no condition. And in this condition, what I am doing is I'm sending myself an email with options. And in this email, I'm giving the user different options. Basically, all I'm trying to figure out is what is the workout that I did today. Did I work out on back, legs, biceps, chest, shoulder, triceps? So it's just my different options. Send email and with options will send me an email, and the user has to pick a value so that the flow will continue. So I get this email with the different options, and then once I pick my option, this flow will move ahead. And all I'm doing then is I'm going back and I'm updating the last workout item that we had. And the reason why I'm updating it is because I need to define what part of my body did I work out on, and that's the selected option value that I will get from the send email with options action, and then the end date, which is the current date and time. So that's the base premise of this flow. Now let's go ahead and test this flow. Of course, in order for me to test this flow, I need to physically be entering and leaving that region. So I'm currently not in California. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to rerun uh, previous successful runs that I had. So when I actually entered and left the area, I had this flow trigger. So I'm going to actually recreate that scenario. So imagine I have entered that same region that I have defined, and I'm going to run my flow. And this is the flow that gets kicked off. Now notice on the right hand side, I have my mobile device. I get a notification in my mobile device saying, "Hey Reza, have a great workout today. Last you worked out on legs at Saturday, 2nd November for 120 minutes. Now how did it get all of this? It's looking at the last item that I worked out on, which was Saturday, 2nd November. And I worked out from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So that's exactly 2 hours. So that's 120 minutes. And I worked out on legs because that's what the system had tracked. So it gives me details of the last step that I worked out. Now, if I want a complete history of the last 1 week, I can easily do that in Flow as well. So that's one. Now, the next thing what happens is, let's look at the flow in action. So when I enter or exit an area, these are the properties that I get. Now in Compose, I put the body of the dynamic trigger. And if you notice, it has the value of transition type. And this is exactly what I need to tell me whether I've entered the area or I've exited the area. And that's why when I'm writing the condition, that's why I was using the transition type field. Okay. In that case, it is true. It goes, it gets the last details, and it creates the workout entry. So I enter the area, I perform my workout. Once my workout is complete, right, I will be exiting the region. And when I exit the region, now let's play out That scenario when I actually exit the region. Now this is a case where I exited the region. When I exit the region, notice the transition type is to, right? So I'm exiting the region. It's going to go into the condition and it's going to send me an email with options. Now, if you look on the right hand side, if I go to my email, I get an email like this. It says, "Hey Raza, hope you had a great workout." And my dad calls me. Hope you had a great workout. What did you work out on today? So in this case, I'm going to say, yes, I worked out on my biceps, for example. So I just select biceps and it records that. And notice now the flow will move ahead the moment it captures the data that I recorded, and it will go ahead and update the item. If I go back to my workouts list, here is my item now, Saturday 23rd November. It updated the same item, it puts in the date and time. So basically, technically, I worked out for 2 minutes and I worked out on my biceps. So it's maintaining a record, it's my workout buddy, and I'm using the location trigger for this purpose. You can think about a lot of use cases for using this. Uh, Before I close out this video, because the transition type is such an important field, how do I get to transition type? In order for you to do that, you need to go to expressions and you need to type trigger body, because that's what is going to give me the dynamic properties of the trigger, question mark transition type, case sensitive. So you have to exactly match this. And once you do this, that's all that's required to fetch the transition type value. And that's my video blog for today. I hope you guys like this. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and thank you so much for watching.